Hey, Dennis.
Hey, Fessel, nice to see you.
Good to see you too, man. What's up?
Oh, it's been a very busy morning working with a lot of my clients ended up having some challenges that they experienced overnight. So it's been a morning of kind of coming up with solutions. And the other good thing, or another thing that's a bit of a challenge for myself is I had intended to go on my trail run as I do in the mornings,
Okay.
and my body just was not, it just wasn't feeling it today. So, I had to kind of really quickly figure out what else to do because I needed to stay active. Because if I'm not active in some way, shape, or form every single day, my back and hips lock up on me, and then I end up walking with a cane for 2 to 3 days. So today
Oh,
we
man.
ended up, we just did a really powerful yoga sequence to really stretch and wake up our bodies and really get those muscles firing off. So, one of those things that all of us, as we're aging, have to figure out how to take in, move into create a new solution when something's not working, so we can keep moving throughout the day.
Who's aging? Who are you talking about?
I'm aging. I
Yeah,
am for
yeah,
sure
yeah.
aging,
Don't
and
say don't say all of us aging.
hey, you know what? It's no secret when you all you have to do is just look at all the white, meaning that I'm just full of wisdom.
There you go. There you go. Talking about wisdom, we were having an offline conversation the other day, and you mentioned that because of this current situation, you are losing a lot of your old business and having to start new things. Is that right?
That's correct.
And are you willing to take the risk? I mean, isn't that risk of screwing up? And that's a topic today. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I didn't want to. I honestly, I really didn't want to take and have to switch gears. I liked what I was doing, and the interesting thing is I had actually rebranded back in November. So and that was a lot of our colleges and schools here in my state. I had agreements to go speak to them. However,
Right.
schools are closed, and there's a good chance they're talking about canceling all sports all the way up until January of 2021. So my job as a speaker, and a trainer, yeah, I'm not going to say I took a hit, but I did have to take and kind of figure things out again because that that line of business, it just dried up. I mean, and it's not a fault. I didn't get screwed. The world's not screwing me over or anything. It is what it is. And so if I want to take and be successful, I have to take and figure out how to move on. Yeah.
But when you said you just rebranded in November,
Yeah.
so at that point when you rebranded, did you think things could go south?
No, I mean, I poured everything into it. No, I didn't predict. I did not predict Corona would do this. I absolutely didn't. And everything is having the. I was excited about the rebrand. I was moving forward. Doing more of what I truly like doing, which is I love getting up on stage and training and working a crowd and really interacting and engaging. Um, it didn't dry up for me. The world changed. So, again, we've talked about this in previous broadcasts, which is, the biggest solution for humans is adaptability and being able to take and switch gears. Otherwise, we end up in a negative mindset and we just sit around talking about what was, and we lament what we've no longer have.
Exactly, I fully agree with you. When I was much younger in my career, I used to be really, really stuck on the comfort of knowing that my next month's bills are paid.
Yes.
But in the process, I had so many screw ups in life because to hang on to that comfort, many times I undersold myself.
Yeah.
If I could have sold myself at 10, I would sell at 5 because the other person obviously understood my need for that comfort and took advantage of that.
Sure.
But only when I grew much older, I realized I've screwed up so many times. And somehow or the other, thank God, God has been kind, shit works out, man. And you got to be ready to fail. Now, here's what I think today's entrepreneurs are not understanding right. Okay, for those joining in, our original topic for today was, do you have any rights? And that stemmed from many discussion where millennials or young entrepreneurs, people who are between 25 and 35 right now, they think it's their right to succeed because it is such a fast evolving, information, internet and shit. And people think, I'm going to succeed at whatever I do. You're not going to succeed at whatever I do. I think more than ever, failure is a higher probability today, because back 20 years, if you lived in a small town in Germany, your competition was people in that small town in Germany. Today, you're competing against some 12-year-old sitting in a village in Philippines who's got the same skill set and is available online. I'm sitting in Lahore, Pakistan. Dennis is sitting in Arizona, and we're collaborating here on this show. Anyone with a camera and a mic, and not even a mic, anyone with a bloody phone, which is just about everybody in the world, can do this. So there is no guarantee of succeeding today. More than ever, there will be failures today. But on the flip side, more than ever, there's so much you can do.
Absolutely, and I totally agree. A couple of comments is one, you talked about the comfort and wanting to know that paycheck is coming. I fell into that for a lot of years. I mean, I worked for the government, so like I knew what was coming. I knew when it was coming. I knew what I could get away with. I knew the work I didn't have to do. Right?
Yeah.
So, and I just think I've come to really understand in the past 5 years is that comfort in many cases leads to complacency. And so we end up, we end up forgetting what it's like to go out and have to kill what we eat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. And I agree that the only thing I'm going to say about the millennials is I think in some ways, I don't know that it's really necessarily entitlement, but I think we've kind of set them up to fail in certain ways, because we told them the same line that I know I was taught, which didn't work, which was, oh, you go to school, you get really good grades, you work really hard so you can go to university, and then you go to university and get a good job. Well, but then 2008 happened, right? The economy crashed worldwide, and so then we started entering into the gig economy, and so things have just changed. And I think, when you look at all of the influencers online, I think that it kind of lends itself to a bit of a false sense of hope and security. Because in my experience, Faisal, and I think you'll agree, regardless of how smart you are, regardless of how intelligent, your attitude, it all comes down to effort. The more effort you put into something, the more successful you will be. And there is no shortcut for that effort.
Well, in addition to effort, you got to be lucky. I mean, if you just talked about effort, there's so many people working so hard, they don't make it. You just have to be at the right place at the right time as well.
Right,
but then again...
But you're right. I'm just going to say that brings me. I don't know if you're familiar with Gordon Ramsay, the chef
of
Ramsay.
Course, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, he has a term. It's called being a busy idiot, and it's really true. You're busy doing all the wrong things. So being busy for the sake of being busy, or you watch some of these online influencers. Oh, the hustle and grind culture. Well, what are you grinding for? What I have really found is a lot of people just go on about their business, but they've never really defined their outcome. It's not, they have goals, but they've never looked at the bigger picture and truly specified the outcome that they're grinding for. When you understand your outcome, you understand the steps to take in order to make that happen.
Okay, now even these influencers, they are grinding for the short term, which is fine, as long as they understand and accept that. My only problem is when you're trying to build A, but you're actually building B and you're complaining about C. Your A, B, C has to be aligned.
Yes.
And short-term business, is nothing wrong with that. Shit comes and goes. So even if it's a short-term business, big deal. You know what? We had Vine, which came and disappeared. We had Viber, which came and got kicked out by WhatsApp. We had Yahoo. We had AOL, if people don't realize. We had a thing called Netscape, the king of browsers, Netscape. Internet Explorer. We have all kinds of things which made the BlackBerry, God, the biggest story. Nokia. There's nothing permanent, and I want to show a slide. I'm going to go there. I'm going to say something. People who join in to our conversation, please join into the conversation. The link is right there. It's a StreamYard link. Click on that, and you will join in live with us. We've been having people join in, and then there's a lot of queue. So I'm going to let people join in with if they have the camera turned on. One. Secondly, please say what you need to say. and then exit so other people can join in, because there's a limited number of people I can take in there. So I'm going to take this comment from Mr. Nisar. Good morning or good evening, Mr. Yasin. Walaikum salam. What would you like to say, please? Go ahead.
Well, there are many things Pakistan is lacking right now. Right now, the economic situation is not so much good. If we come, because right now
But that's global. But that is a global problem.
Yeah, but right now I'm in Saudi Arabia, okay, and
Right.
if we compare with the Saudi Arabia, they have opened the markets from 6th of Ramadan to 20th of Ramadan. They give the opportunity to the people to go and make their shoppings or whatever necessary items they need for the Eid and like that. I think the government should have to be give chance to or give opportunity to our countrymen and all, so they can at least they can buy such their things which are nowadays necessary for them, because we are facing lockdowns since a long time.
Right. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for joining in, and we will talk about it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
So you say, yeah, okay, fine. But countries are doing what they have to do. What we're talking about is there a risk in starting a new job, business, or project? And I think, yes, there is a risk more than ever before. But because there's a risk of failure more than ever before, there is a bigger opportunity more than ever to do things. Just because a kid in Philippines is now your competition because of places like Fiverr or any other freelancing websites where anyone can offer services, it also opens the opportunity for you to offer your services. So yeah, with
Absolutely.
risk comes great opportunity. With great opportunity comes risk.
And Faisal, I just want to kind of make the point, is that it one of the things I end up hearing about quite a bit is people upset about that they're not getting the results that they want. But a lot of times it really comes down to this: whether if you've really done strategic planning and you're really kind of taking the steps that you need, but you have to also remember you can't complain about results that you're not getting from the work you're not doing. So I think a lot of times we think that we're going to, I'm hustling, grinding, and so I'm just automatically going to be successful. But are you hustling and grinding in the right ways?
Exactly.
So I agree, and I think that a biggest thing that holds people back, I work with a lot of young entrepreneurs, and when they tell me, hey coach, I'm trying to buy this business, or I want to buy a business, or I'm in business, the thing before they move forward, one of the things I ask them is straight up, what are your biggest fears? Tell me your biggest fears about moving forward. And two, how will you personally screw this up? And I think that's... Go ahead.
Yeah. How you'll screw it up for yourself.
That's correct.
You don't need anybody else to screw it up for you. You'll screw it up.
No. I mean, it's the same as, if I'm a perfectionist in my life, I'm going to be a perfectionist in my business. If I'm constantly late, I'm probably going to be late to my business as well. So there's personality things that we need to to examine. The reason that I think we have a lot of fears with moving forward, yes, there's financial risk and all of that, but I think a big part of it is the fear of losing social capital, if you will. So if I fail, what's Faisal gonna bring? Is Faisal gonna make a show about me? That kind of a thing. I think that's what's always in people's minds is if I fail, failure equals embarrassment in many ways.
So there's this comment on the screen, Dennis, I think we should talk about it. I think failure and success are overstated terms. Getting fear of failure always leads to failure, and the desire of success does not lead to success. Beautifully said. Thank you, Said. And because both terms are so fake in terms of getting motivation or falling into despair. You've said it.
And motivation, I mean, that wanes. It comes and goes. There's ebbs and flows with that. I think more than one of the biggest keys to success is in moving out on your own or starting something new isn't so much about being afraid of failure. I think I'm just going to turn the table a little bit. In a lot of ways, FQ, people are afraid to succeed. And the reason that they're afraid to succeed is simply because if I'm successful, man, how is my life going to change? What added responsibilities am I going to have brought onto my plate? So the fear of failure and the fear of success are deeply connected.
I didn't really understand that. Elaborate.
Okay, so a fear of success, a lot of times people, okay, case in point. So I am a speaker. I travel and I get up on stage and I speak at conferences, business events, and so forth. However, like the part of that I really don't like, I don't like airports and I don't really like big crowds of people. But in order for me to get there, I have to take, and in order for me to be a successful speaker, I have to be able to go to airports and get on a plane and so forth. So do I really want, the fear of success is, do I really want to take on the added responsibility?
Oh, the life that will come with success. Are you
that comes with success. And I think that that's a bigger part, more so than, I mean, nobody wants to be embarrassed. Nobody wants to be embarrassed, because they failed. I will just say, when I was a fire chief, I would hear this all the time, which was that, oh wow, like you have the greatest life, you're important, you have this cool job. And what people didn't realize is that I absolutely hated the responsibility that came with it.
You've hit it on the bloody head, and you've defined what I'm going through right now. Because I quit working formally about 6 years ago, and now I've gotten into this habit of not working. So I last year I even joined a TV channel, but I couldn't sustain it because I couldn't deal with having to put on a tie or a jacket every evening. And I was like, oh, I don't want to. Because what came with that success became a burden. And even right now, I mean, I've got old clients who want me to do short, projects for them. And I'm thinking, does that mean I want to have to take bullshit from client again? No, I don't want to do it. And I'm actually not doing shit.
Right.
So I fully agree with you. It's not necessarily the success of failure. At times, it is the burden of, but the burden of success only kicks in once you've got your bases covered. If you're hungry, then you would take on those risks. And
I know, but I think kind of in our brains, FQ, is in our minds, we're like, man, I really want to eat, but I don't want to eat that. Right? I mean, that's kind of, I think we always just kind of seem to leave ourselves an escape route. And to the comment about motivation, look, motivation, it comes and goes.
Which one? This one? The one Rafi's comment? I think motivation is BS?
No, there was another one about motivation before. But my point is that discipline is way more important than motivation. Like I can just tell you today, being disciplined is why I took and did my workout. I did it. I modified it. But was I motivated? No, I was not motivated to work out today. So, but discipline, staying true to my practice, is what took and made me actually feel better. And because I did that, I'm having a better morning. Because I feel better about myself. Go ahead.
I'm going to go into risky waters here.
Please.
But I'm going to go. Yes, I completely agree with what Rafi has said. Motivation is absolute BS. And I've gotten into trouble with a lot of my motivational speaker friends where I would actually say on stage that motivation is a bullshit scam. Because, and right, Rafi's next comment is spot on. If you're not motivated about your own life, who the hell is going to motivate you?
Yeah.
Like right now in this situation, if people aren't motivated to stay home, they're willing to kill themselves. You know what? Nothing is going to motivate you, mate. So I agree with you. But what you're talking about, I think the way I word it is motivation is a scam. Inspiration is the real thing. If you're inspired towards a better life, you will work out even if you feel like shit. You may not have a full workout, but you will stretch. Like I'm going through my fasting days. I still go to the gym in the morning. I can't do a run. I can't do a lot of things, but I still do some just to, otherwise my back's going to kill me.
Right.
So that is my inspiration. Call it motivation, but motivation is something that you take like a pill every morning. It's like a vitamin. You got to take it every morning. That's scam. Inspiration sticks with you. I agree. I want to put something on the screen here. When we talk about it, I know we've slightly deflected on the risk of failing. It is the permanence of things we get addicted to, and Japan is beautiful in that. Are you familiar with kintsugi?
I am not.
Well, okay, in Japan.
Yes, I am. I didn't know that was the name, but yes, I love this.
Okay, you know the fundamental concept, the underlying concept behind under it,
Uh-huh.
that nothing is permanent.
Yes.
So if something breaks, big deal. Put it together. If you can't put it together, throw it away. Nothing is permanent. So this is basically a learning in the impermanence of things.
Yes.
And so likewise businesses. And also we get, I think we did a show about this if I remember right, we get stuck to, or we hang on to small successes in life. Just like failures, we say, well, it's a battle, we'll eventually win the war anyways. So just like, like failures, successes are also just battles. If you've had success for a while, does not mean you have to hang on to it and let it go. Build another success. If one business fails, build another one. As long as you continue to survive, stay above the water, pay your bills, and at the end of the day, you've had a good life. That's all that matters. Why does it matter if I screwed up in 20 businesses? Why does it matter if I screwed up in 5 projects? Big deal. I'm still here. I'm still getting on. Alhamdulillah, God is kind. And that's what matters at the end of the day. It's not about, oh, what have you achieved in your life? I've achieved jack shit, but I've lived a good life.
Right.
So you talked about something earlier about social taboo that people would question your failures. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Who there for you to question? My success is that I'm still afloat. I'm paying my bills. I've got a roof on my head. I'm still alive and healthy, and I'm getting on with life and enjoying myself. Absolutely. That is real success.
Listen, I completely agree, Faisal, is that success, we each get to define our own success. I think we have a tendency to try to, be successful, based on other people's standards or what other people have decided should be successful for us, right? I mean, case in point is how many kids end up going to law school or medical school simply because that's what the family wanted them to do.
Oh, God, yes.
And then they have absolutely no interest in those professions at all. So it's just it's really interesting. One of the things I talk to when I'm speaking to, when I'm speaking to the youth, like I was saying before, one of the quotes I say to them when I go into the schools and I speak to the youth is, have the courage to suck at something new. Like it takes courage to put yourself out there. And who's to say, and I'm just going to come out and say this, as a motivational speaker, I'm just going to say that, we take when we don't have the courage to suck at something new, what we end up doing is we tell ourselves no. Listen, man, I mean, the whole world tells me no all the time. Why would I tell myself? It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I think that we just need to really, again, that having the courage to suck at something new, why is it always a risk? And I'm just going to come out and say this whole concept that there's no such thing as failure, it's only feedback, that's garbage. That's garbage. Sometimes there's absolute big failures. I can tell you of huge failures in my own life, personal and professional. And typically those all had to do with I didn't plan it out. I did something I knew I shouldn't be doing in the first place. I just went ahead and did it. There's multiple reasons why we set ourselves up to fail. And in many cases, we don't set ourselves up to succeed.
Don't you love? I just love this. And look at that! I did this banner. Isn't this cool?
Nice.
In real time. You know what? I'm going to plug this in. I'm using StreamYard, and it's fantastic. The interface is amazing. I mean, just the fact that I could do this on the fly and boom, gone. I love it.
That's awesome.
Okay, there are a lot of comments which I think we should take. You talk about personal failures and business failures as well. I'm going to talk about. I'd like to touch that as well. Maybe give some of our personal examples. But let's try to build as we go through the comments. Tausif, you have a later comment saying, I want to hear from Dennis and Faisal. We're both reading all the comments. The only thing is when I'm talking, I can't because I control the comments. So you have to wait for me to stop speaking. Then while Dennis is talking, I look at the comments and I plug them in. So relax, we'll get to it. All right, Dennis, let's take this one first.
Yeah.
How do you determine a success? Is success money improvement? What's your take?
I think it's everything. I think success is individual. I mean, to me, there is a financial component. I make no mistake. No bones about it. I like to make money. I not just for survival. I like money. It's a way for me to compete. So for me, success, if you're asking my personal opinion what success is actually having the stones to move forward. Success doesn't necessarily mean that I got paid for everything I did. Did I have a great experience? What was my role in the outcome? So I think it depends on the context. When I'm giving a speech, I'm there to get paid. I mean, make no mistake, I am there to get paid. Even when people call me and they're like, hey, I need some psychology or I need some coaching, I love helping people if they pay me. So I think success is determined. Each person gets to determine that. To me, the ultimate success is having the stones to move forward and move forward, whether I fail or I succeed. Either way, I mean, at the end of the day, a failure is just being told this isn't the correct way of going about something. So
okay,
figure out a new way.
I think money gets a lot of bad press for no reason, and money is underrated. Money is beautiful.
Agreed.
You gotta have money. You gotta make money. How much money? Now that's a separate show by itself. How much money you need to make, because we want to talk about minimalism as well. When we make money, we waste it on things. We waste it on pleasures we don't need. That's a separate discussion, a separate show. How much money you need? Maybe Dennis, since you take the notes, maybe take a note. That's a topic. But you gotta have money. And
Absolutely.
Dennis talked about moving forward. To move forward, you have to have money. And
Yes.
success is different thing at different points in your life. 20 years ago, success for me was to work 20 hours a day, and I used to be very arrogantly snobbish about it. I work 20 hours a day. My day used to start at 5 a.m. because my clients were in Hong Kong, and they were bloody 5 hours ahead of me. By the time Hong Kong market opened, I had to be up and listening, and then by the time that day ended, New York opened. So there were two east and west. So I was really working 20 hours a day. And I was like arrogant about it. I have never taken a vacation. I worked because I was young. I was 30 some. That was success for me at that time. Then making money was success for me. Then being on TV was successful for me. And now I think, my success is not completely redefined. Now my success is doing nothing. I think I'm very successful because I do nothing, alhamdulillah. And the reason I know Dennis is, I just want you to do something new altogether. So I went to become an NLP practitioner, and Dennis was my teacher. So it's just reinventing yourself, doing different things, and just keep, as Dennis said beautifully, you gotta keep moving forward. And don't worry about the shit that's happened. That's yesterday, man. It's over. The number of projects that I've half-baked and thrown away. If you see my projects folder, or if you see my discussion, you'd be shocked. I start a new thing every week. I play with it for 100 hours. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yep.
I throw it out.
Yeah.
And I keep moving on. And a lot of them are regrets because I wish I had done them. They'd be worth so much money. Big deal.
Yeah, Faisal, it's really interesting, and I counted. I went back through my client list of last year, and the interesting thing was, I was hired by 7 entrepreneurs. 7 entrepreneurs. They all wanted to start a business. These were not young people. They were all experienced in industry and so forth. Out of those 7 people that hired me to help them start a business, 5 of them dropped out. And,
Right.
and honestly, so was that successful? You know what? They were really happy that they didn't move forward because they discovered that they didn't really want to. They wanted the result, but they didn't want to have to necessarily do what it took to get that result. So I think it's success is being able to explore your options. When we talk about
Thank
money,
you.
to me, money just allows for me to take advantage of opportunities. That's really it. As far as my lifestyle, I live the way that I want. My basic needs are taken care of for this
Thank you.
time, and that could change. However, it's just simply adopting a mindset of, for me, if you're gonna kill me, you better make sure I'm dead, because otherwise I'm a cockroach and I just keep coming back and reinventing myself. I don't know how else to put it. To me, the what makes me the most successful is resiliency. Let's
Yeah.
just keep going. Hey, I failed this time, man. That hurt, but I've always had the ability to kind of brush myself off and pull up my bootstraps and go, all right, let's roll up our sleeves and let's get after the next project.
And that's what actually makes both of us quite dangerous for people, because we also, forgive me, I'm speaking for you, but I think I'm right. We also people like that. I'm sorry. Move. Relationship goes. Move on, man.
Yeah,
you lose
dude.
friends.
You're welcome to speak
Am I right?
for me on that, totally. Because the thing is I can't stand the victim mentality. I mean, there's certain times when we are victims and somebody does something to us, but typically that's really not the case. It's adopting a victim mentality and saying, oh, I just don't have any tolerance for complaining. So I just was having a conversation with somebody earlier, and if you're gonna don't come to me with a complaint. I don't care if you come to me with a complaint, but you better have a solution as well. So because that's the difference. Success is being solution focused, not so much adopting the victimology of oh, I can't do this, I'm no good, it didn't work for me. Oh, I'm not a good broadcaster and because FQ is so much better. You know, we're constantly comparing ourselves to everybody else. Define success for yourself. For me, it's resiliency. It's getting back up after I've been kicked in the nuts. And that happens. Like, let's just admit it, acknowledge it, and move on.
Earlier when I said I'm going to go into murky waters, when I said motivation is BS, where I was going, which I got deflected, was God forgive me, save me from the wrath. Depression is bullshit. I'm sorry, but feeling sorry for yourself is bullshit. I'm sorry, but being a victim, yes, we're all victims. I've been a victim many times. People have screwed me over left, right, and center. But victimology, as the term used by Dennis, is so right. Yes, of course, I've been 100 times. People have fucked me over many times, but you know what? Move on, man. Start again.
There you go.
You can't get stuck to an event. It's a fucking event. That's all it is. You can't get stuck to an event.
Right. And the interesting thing is I think that as we kind of evolve in our thought process, I really just want this point to be made clear is that, so I just had a situation in my life last week, and there's somebody in my life for a long time, and I feel like they screwed me over. But the thing is that what I had when I went back to kind of like look at the whole situation, it was the very first question I asked is, how did I put myself in this situation to feel this way? Well, the truth is that this person, what they did to me is no different than what they do to every other person. Why did I have an expectation that I would be treated differently? See, I think that's kind of the key. FQ, I just have to say, so I am a psychologist, and I'm just going to say, as far as depression, I think that we're talking two different things. I really do. Is that I think that depression, when you're looking at it from a clinical psychology perspective, there are neurotransmitters that are involved. That's a very different mechanism than clinical depression is a different mechanism than adopting a victimology. So there are chemical imbalances that people have. Now, the question is, do we create the chemical imbalances? I mean, I can kick my amygdala right now and have my body full of stress hormones. So can I also produce calming hormones, dopamine, and so forth? Absolutely. I just don't think that we have learned coping mechanisms to take and deal with this stuff. Go ahead.
I was going to protect myself for a moment. I put my foot in my mouth. Yes, chemical depression is a thing. If you're schizophrenic, that is a thing.
Yeah.
If you're bipolar, that is a thing. If there's an internal problem with you, that is a thing. If you're just emotionally distressed and depressed, screw you. You're just selfish. You're just using this misery to be lazy, to not make an effort at the shit you need to.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm going to say, and this is one of the reasons that I parted ways with my profession, is because I looked at my own life. I really did. I looked at my own life and how I brought being a victim into it. I mean, lots of people. I was in a pretty significant automobile accident in 2006. like a lot of other people. But it makes it easy when you go, well, wait a minute, I was at work and I was a firefighter, I'm a paramedic. I got hurt doing the Lord's work. Like, that's something I actually used to say. Well, how big is the fall? I mean, so I get it. I totally get it. A lot of my sadness and angst, I'm not going to call it depression, but a lot of that, it was self-induced. It was totally self-induced, and I think sometimes we just don't have enough coping mechanisms, and all we do is we end up stepping on it all the time.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, moving on to the next comment.
Yeah.
Success is very negatively perceived in a society. You set a goal by yourself and achieve it and call it success. It is observed that success perceived as some kind of permanent phenomenon. According to the law of nature. Okay, we talked about this earlier. Success is not permanent in terms of projects. If I start a business, its success and failure could be permanent. Like Viber screwed up, but they're making a comeback. They haven't given. I'm really amazed at Viber. It's still there, and it's still now adding new features, trying to make a comeback. They just might make a comeback. But your life's success, that is the only thing permanent, and that can only be gauged in the end. While you're still, as I'm going to keep quoting Dennis, he said it beautiful, as long as you're moving forward, as long as you're afloat, your head's above the water, and you are moving on, and as long as you're moving forward, you are still successful.
Absolutely.
The only time you will fail in the interim is when you quit and you say, "Khalas, I'm done." That's the problem. As long as you're moving forward, you're all right, man. Keep moving forward. Life's good.
And I gotta, the metaphor I use for that, and I think about this quite often, because I need reminders myself, is that so if you're in your car, if you're in your car, what's bigger, the windshield or the rear view mirrors? The windshield's bigger because we're designed to be looking forward. The rear view mirror is small. Leave that stuff in the past. I mean, the only reason to really go back to our past, and people ask me like, oh, why do you like sunrise? Because sunrise is a new beginning. Whatever failure I had the day before has now been negated by the rising of the sun. And I get a whole chance to do it all over again. And I think about that symbolism to me in imagery is very, very powerful.
Okay, this comment, Dennis, read it. I'm going to take it up because it's really big. I guess I agree in 10 sentences when we try to find the motivation from our surroundings, not finding the ways to stay self-motivated, which will come only when we love ourselves and people around us. We need to start living for others rather than just yourself. I'm referring to self-actualization and self-realization. Oh, tricky one.
Yeah, I'm gonna give an opposite side to that. I want to say that motivation doesn't always come from like loving ourselves. There are many times I'm motivated by vitriol and hate. I mean, I'm just trying to be transparent. There are there's reasons. When I say that, it's not always necessarily a positive motivation, but I will be successful. If you're gonna think I'm gonna fail, I will find a way to be successful because proving you wrong is super successful to me.
Fair enough. But as for working for others, no, I'm a very selfish person. There's no magnanimity in my life. I'm so sorry. I do not wish to work for others. I wish to be the best for myself. Now, indirectly, I can only be useful to others in this universe if I am good at myself. If I'm good to myself, an oxygen mask, you got to pop it in your face before you do it to others. Even children say, do it for yourself and others. Now, I'm not selfish, but I'm not selfless either.
Sure.
I'm not going to screw somebody to succeed, but I'm not going to give up my success to let somebody else get away as well. I'm not selfish, but I'm not selfless. Sorry. I don't really, every adult has the responsibility to put in 100% and do it for themselves. If in the process they do it with you, A-okay.
Right.
Otherwise, if you think you're not going to do anything and you expect others to carry you, no way.
Yeah, and that's I totally agree, and that kind of comes into that entitlement piece of thinking that oh, I'm doing this. Oh, so you should do this for me. I just don't think, I think that we kind of look at the world as though it's reciprocal, and it isn't necessarily always reciprocal. I mean, I do things for people that they don't have the ability to do back for me. So everything's not always cause and effect, and nor is it reciprocal. And I just want to comment on Rafia's comment, or her comment. Rafia, please, I spent 15 years of my life almost, in HR. Please reconsider medical school.
Doesn't pay very well, does it? Right?
It's a grind. It's a grind, and a lot of it's really just. I mean, for me at least, it was just very boring, and it's a weird position. HR is a weird position within an organization.
Well, that brings us to the next comment. Success is having peace inside you. As long as you're peaceful, all right. But just remember, when push comes to shove, in the end, you gotta have money in your bank. It all boils down to money in the bank. Whether you like to hear it or not, that's really the bottom line fact.
I think it's interesting because in so many cases, and I agree with you about the money. You have to have the money in the bank in order to survive and exist. But it's just I find that I just lost my total train of thought. So I apologize. I just had a total brain fart.
It's all right.
There.
No, we're multitasking, looking at the chat,
Yeah.
looking at comments, responding. It happens. It's natural. Now, when I say money in the bank, there's a reason. If you're not financially independent, people will take you for granted, people will screw you, people will manipulate you, and not just in business, but in personal life. Once you have financial independence, then you can do what you want to do. A friend of mine, much older than me, he inherited property, he had all kinds of stuff, and one day he sold everything and cashed it. And so I asked him, what are you doing these days? Retired? And he said, God forbid. He says, I now do what I want to do when I want to do.
Right, but I think it's also important to remember that even that's not permanent. 2008
Oh,
happened.
Absolutely.
2008
yeah,
happened,
yeah.
and a lot of people had to come out of retirement because their 401ks, their retirement savings, their pensions. What I was going to say, Faisal, is that I think it's just a concept that we have this idea that somehow there's a finish line in life. There is no finish line. So in business, there is no finish line. I mean, you keep going. In one day, you can experience success and failures. So I just don't. I think sometimes we attach success and failure to things that are pretty neutral. When we step back and look at it, so I just think it's important to realize there is no finish line. The only finish line is when I'm dead. And then whatever I had in the bank isn't going to be relevant to me at that point anyway.
Absolutely. But until that point, you gotta keep moving forward, and you have to stay above the water, which basically means moolah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the message on the screen says it. It's very, very, time appropriate. Success is nothing but a milestone.
Correct.
Your today's success might become useless. Keep moving. Absolutely, agreed. Irfan, everyone has a different stand for success. Not one size fits all. If you think you're a success, then guess what? You are successful as long as you're happy and you're not hurting. Sure, fine. That's exactly what we're saying. As long as you keep moving on. Maybe still making your life count in terms of development. Dennis.
Salman, I'd like that. I mean, if you could elaborate on that a little bit. I mean, making success, making every day of your life count. I guess it depends on making it count for what or for whom, right? I mean, I think that's kind of content versus context. If you could elaborate a little bit more, Salman, that would be fantastic. I don't know that I'm truly understanding, but making your life count in a way that is congruent and aligned with who you are, I think is extremely important.
I think that's a bit cliched, making your life count. And I agree, Dennis. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. All right, we have. I really can't appreciate enough to. Every word they say today is based on years and years of experience. I'm going to watch it today. Well, thank you very much. Thank you if we've been able to say something useful. But do watch the video where we discussed Dennis's tattoos, why he has the tattoos. And he basically shared, the shit he went through in life and why his tattoos mark every stage of life. Personally, I have created businesses which went. I have created relationships which went. And every time it happens, you're standing in nada. It's over again.
Right.
And then big deal. I have, alhamdulillah, God is kind. I've never lost even a single day. And people call me cold-hearted, ruthless, asshole, all kinds of things. Whether it's people or a project or a business or whatever, even money. So in my philosophy is, if I bought something with the intent of reselling it, bullshit. Money out of my hand is not mine. If it comes back, if somebody borrows money from me, I write it off immediately. If it comes back, if it doesn't, Likewise, if I spend them, if the only money I have is what's in my wallet today. There are no accounts receivable in my book or things to sell in my book. So I give away a lot of stuff because I'm not patient enough to encash crap. I made a bad decision. I bought something I shouldn't have. Now I'm not going to waste more time trying to convert it into cash.
Correct.
Take it away. Just get it out of my life. But that's because, again, my bills are paid. It boils down to the money in your wallet. And that's the only way you can move on. Right. You find your passion pursuit. Yes, you may go through a period of failure, no money. You get stuck. How do you get unstuck? The feeling of failure can drown you when you've invested so much time and money. Well said. The feeling of failure can drown you. That's what you cannot allow to happen. And let me plug this in. If that's happening to you, Tyrell Coaching, you go to Mr. Dennis, who will NLP the hell out of you and get you out
Absolutely.
of dark waters.
That feeling. I mean, it's kind of and Faisal, you brought up the conversation we had about my tattoos, and they didn't necessarily, the intention wasn't necessarily from a positive place. However, it is a positive thing now. So even though we have something that didn't necessarily start out with the best intentions, it can turn into something really beautiful and amazing. Because the nice thing about being tattooed is it's an automatic conversation starter. And for me, I lean towards being introverted. So starting a conversation with somebody isn't necessarily my strong suit, but now people will just ask me questions. So you can take something that wasn't necessarily that. I wouldn't say that my tattoos were a failure. There are things that I failed at. I just straight up failed. But, most of the things in life aren't really like that. We attach emotion to it, and then we want to sit there and pity ourselves. And, it's that whole victimology again. And, I just wanted to say this. I think what's really important, there's a comedian over here in the United States. I think he's also the host of The Family Feud. His name is Steve Harvey. And he did a whole segment. They caught him kind of the mics were running, and so he ended up having a conversation. And it says, in order to be successful, and all successful people at one point had to jump. And I completely agree with that. You have to take and jump. We talk. It's just interesting to me that and I might get criticized for this, but with our faith and our religion, we believe in something that we can't see. I'm right here. Are you telling me I can't believe in me? Of course I believe in me. And that I think it's a belief in ourself that ultimately allows us to jump. Take that leap of faith.
Absolutely. I'm going to take two comments here because they're, back to back. One is this: I can drill on things sometimes, which I know I shouldn't. And the other one is, Bushra has asked, you may go through a period of failure, no money, you get stuck. How do you get unstuck? I'm going to touch it quickly and very briefly, but if that doesn't help you, then you need to go to Dennis, who will.
Yes.
That's his business, that's his job. He will help you get unstuck. But I'm going to just make a quick comment here. There are no successes or failures in the interim phases of your life. Everything is an event. Dennis just said, he failed at things, though his tattoos were not failure themselves, but there were events or projects where he failed. I don't agree with that, Dennis. If you listen to the Steve Jobs speech called Connect the Dots, are you familiar with that?
I don't know that I'm familiar with that particular one.
It is amazing. It's called Connect the Dots, and everyone should take the time to look at this. So what he's talking about here is that everything that happened in his life, failures and successes, eventually made him who he was.
Yes.
And even at the time where you feel that something is a failure, it isn't. So Dennis, all the things, all the shit that happened to you in life taught you something, gave you skill, pushed you in a direction, changed the course of your life to bring you where you are today. The problem is that when we get screwed by nature or by a friend and we get pushed into a direction, the mistake we make is, as Bushra just said, we get into the pity cycle.
Yeah.
That, oh my God, all work. No, nothing is lost. You learn something, start again, do something new. And one of the things I would quote from this is, when Steve Jobs was bumming around at the university, he learned typography because he had time to waste as an elective. That lesson in typography later on helped him create the Apple font.
That's right.
Right? So in my experience, I have taken music appreciation classes, I've taken philosophy of religion classes. What a waste of time. But you know what? No, it's not a waste of time. Everything is knowledge.
Yeah. I don't see knowledge as a waste of time at all. And
a failed business is also knowledge.
absolutely.
A failed project is knowledge. I have written, since I code, I still code very heavily. I mean, I still code 2 hours a day just for the fuck of it. Code I never use. I keep making this crazy shit for myself, which I never use. All right? But in the process, the 2 reasons I do that. One, I'm trying to beat Alzheimer's at a later time. Make sure my neurons are firing. But the other reason is, I learn new shit. I would take on a project, completely useless, work on it for a month, learn all kinds of new stuff, throw it away. Yeah. I just delete and discard the shit. I do a lot of videos which I never release, and I discard them. But they're not failures. When I did a bad thing, I learned how to do it right next time. In a failure, you learn what not to repeat. In a failure, you do what not to do the next time. It's not a failure. It's all a lesson.
It is. I agree, and I agree to a point. I do think that sometimes, and I look at failures as for me, I describe, or I define failure as something to where I have failed another human. Not necessarily my business. It isn't whether it shut down, and I've had to close businesses too. I mean, I think that's just part of the cycle. For me, I consider it a failure if I have to take and apologize for something I have said to somebody. So because that's not how I wish to be perceived. Now, yes, I do have a chance to do it over, but I also want to touch on something else you said about coding just for the sake of coding. Yeah, I don't think that's true, and the reason is because from a psychology standpoint, we've always heard left brain versus right brain for creativity and so forth, and what we found is that we know at least 14 points in the brain, both sides, both hemispheres are firing off when we are creative. So one of the things I actually do with my clients, because creativity it helps us solve problems. Right? I mean, in a lot of creative processes, that's what we're doing is we're trying to solve a problem. We're trying to create a solution. So in many cases with my clients, I have them, like that's something that they do. If I have one guy, what he's doing right now is he plays guitar, but now what he has to do is he has to write his own song. When I've worked with an athlete, what I've had them do is they had to create a dance. They like dancing, so they had to start from start to finish, create a dance, and they had to work it out in their minds before it ever comes to physical manifestation. So creativity in success cannot be overstated. It's extremely important. So I highly recommend anybody that's looking at trying something new, do something creative to where you have to create a solution and figure something out, and that you'll just getting the brain working like that is extremely important, and getting yourself to do that is a huge success.
Absolutely. Okay, two comments which I would like both of us to comment on. One is this. Let's look at both the comments. Yes, FQ, but it is not easy for people. It is not easy. Now, Dennis is going to love this one. This is the way it's worded. It is not easy for people to move on, and it takes time. And the other one is, yeah, but not everyone has a strong constitution. Dennis, take these two comments together. What do you say?
Well, as far as staying stuck, as far as what I would like to see, Rafia, is just that I don't want to move on. So I think sometimes we have to take, instead of, we use these broad generalizations, and a generalization is a cognitive distortion. And so, everyone's doing this. So I think we do that in a way to kind of say, I don't need to. Own it, Rafia. Just own it and say, I don't want to move on. Well, do you want to move on or not? Sometimes we stay stuck. A good example. My wife and I, love each other very much. 30 years of marriage. We've been quarantined a while. We had a row this weekend. So, one of the things I had to tell her was, she says, well, I said I'm sorry. And my point to her was, I appreciate the apology. However, I'm not ready to be done being mad at you yet. So, and she's like, fair enough. And I said, give me 2 hours. And then at the end of 2 hours, it was my obligation at that point to move forward. But it's I think we don't set those boundaries for ourselves. Could you put the next comment up, please? I don't really know how to answer this, Irfan. You're correct. Not everyone has a strong constitution, and I think that all I can think of with that is survival of the fittest. And if you want to take and succeed, if you want to take and you have to find a way to take and develop that resiliency. And it's not about like reading a book about resiliency or mental toughness. In my mind, mental toughness is earned. It's earned through experiences. So if somebody doesn't have a strong constitution, my suggestion for them would be is, what do you want to be? And then go out and create experiences, deliberately fail. So you have to figure things out and move forward. We just don't attach ourselves to the emotion of failure.
Okay, both of these sentences have the same thing. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a half-baked psychologist. Dennis is a full one. Look at these both. Yeah, but. Yes, but. Both of them. Yeah, but. Yes, but. You know what they say? Everything before the but is bullshit. That is just crap you're putting out because you don't want to own it. What you said after the but is the reality. You guys love it. You both love the misery. Because you know what, Rafia? I'm so sorry. But it's not easy for people to move. What's stopping you from moving on? Please tell me one thing that is holding you back except for the noise in your head. Are you being held back by ropes and chains? Has somebody put a gun to your head to feel miserable? No. It's just that noise in your head which is keeping you miserable. Irfan, not everyone has a strong constitution. What the hell is a constitution? As Dennis just said, survival of the fittest. I can sit here and feel miserable about myself. How does it matter to anybody? How does it impact anybody? You want to do it all your life? Please do it. You don't want to do it? You want to be happy? Get up and move on. Yeah, if you want to stay in misery, basically you want to stay in misery.
So I'm gonna comment on what you're talking about is that but and so I say I use this a lot when I'm here in the States because we are an English speaking country and this is so forth. So I do allow for some differences in linguistic characteristics for different languages. In the U.S. language or the English language, the word but is known as a contradictory conjunction or a contradictory contraction, right? I mean, So that's what we're doing is we're joining two phrases with something that is very contradictory. So what I like to do with that is let's take and switch it. From a psychology perspective, let's take and switch that. So for this would be, it's not easy for people to move on, but they can if they put the time in. So what I always suggest, it's a little mind hack that I use. It's called the but reframe. And that is anytime you say something that's negative, use the but and then follow it up with something positive. So like in my mind, it's like oh man, like, oh, I suck at math, but I'm really good looking. Now what am I left with? What am I left with?
Exactly.
I'm left with, man, I'm so good looking. Now, I just set myself up for success because I understand that anything I said before the word but, I've already tuned it out. Perfect.
So if you're going to butt yourself with a but, then might as well butt yourself to the positive. Why go to the negative?
Absolutely.
It's just a but, right?
Use a but reframe.
There you go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take this compliment. I've never seen someone who tells it so bluntly because I don't have time for bullshit. You know what? You don't have time for my bullshit. Guess what? Today's topic is interesting. Today's topic was supposed to be you have no rights. And we actually had a conversation, Dennis and I. We said, you know what? It's negative. Mm-hmm. Why go that way, man? Screw it. It's a choice. We can be negative. We can sit and whine. Or we can look at the positive side of things. It's a choice. Imran Sumro. At the end of the day, it's not about money. I was referring to self-actualization and realization that we have so much in ourselves to stay self-motivated. Most of us don't realize our energies and capabilities rest everything around. Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much. You said it right.
Yep. And the nice thing, the thing about the money is we're not just talking like dollar signs. We're talking security, right? I mean, if I feel so, could you put that one back up there real quick, please?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I agree with self-realization. However, money, it's a lot easier to be self-actualized when you're not worried about where you're going to get your next meal and that you have clothes to wear and you have a roof over your head. So I think it's all kind of symbiotic in that everything just really kind of works together. I think our human tendency is to take and pick things apart and kind of, get into semantics debates over certain things. And that's, getting back to the basics is about accepting things for what they are at the current moment.
Mike, can you hear me? My camera's frozen. I'll be right back in 1 second. If you cannot.
So Ifran, I'm gonna look at some of these other comments until FQ comes back. But again,
back.
money
I'm
is
back.
important.
So I basically froze, so I took myself out of the stream and came back in. Now can you hear me?
I hear you great.
All right. Okay. So where were we live? Okay, and that's a long thread, but I'm going to show it. For me, success is a realistic goal. Enjoy the journey as it unfolds. Dwell in the moment to satisfaction. Yes, sir. Agreed. To learning a new yoga pose or taking a challenge that stretches my. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Success can be found in little things and big things. The key is to enjoy the ride once you set out on your material existence. Yes, sir.
FQ, I just want to say, I think that we look at everything in success and failure. You talked about it being an event, and I think a lot of times what we like, truthfully, a really good life hack is to do something that you can be successful at. So like I know. With my yoga, like that gentleman just brought up, with my yoga, if I can get into a deeper stretch, sometimes we challenge ourselves for no other reason. So for me, on my 46th birthday, I don't know why, on my 46th birthday, my goal was to do the splits. And I accomplished it. I've got pictures and everything. Never did it again.
Must have hurt like hell, man.
Well, it didn't feel that great. I'm just but I accomplished it. So it's setting goals for ourselves, and a lot of times that really don't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter whether I can do the splits or not. Nobody cares about that.
Okay, so he says, living for others, I never meant to put yourself second as possible, but a hell of a job, but need to stay connected and follow the sharing is caring, we on me. Exchange not free, whether it's time, money, or resources. We don't do nothing for free. Everything comes at a cost and price. But yes, sir. Agreed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great comment, Imran. Thank you.
I think someone's referring to the person. Actually, people fantastic success and avoid discussing failure. Somebody said, this gentleman said we should talk about failure. First, we're engaged in success. Let's talk about failure now. We're actually talking about failure.
I don't think you can.
There is no failure. Failure is success, actually. You were saying something. I wanted to add something. It slipped my mind. It'll come back.
I don't think you can talk about one without the other. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. How do you have a circle where you cannot get yourself to try something entirely new and different? Don't. Who cares?
Mr. Munir, I think that all comes down to desire. That all comes down to desire and want. And I'm just going to say, in my experience, a lot of us, we say that we want something, but we really don't. And the way that I can say that, here's something to kind of think about. So if you're feeling unsuccessful, if you're feeling stuck or unsuccessful in a project or any aspect of life, there's two questions you can ask yourself. What am I not doing that I should be doing to create the outcome that I want? And what should I be doing that I'm not doing? So we have to ask ourselves those same questions, but in the reverse, both ways. So what am I not doing that I should be doing? And what am I doing that I shouldn't be doing? You can answer those two questions. You'll get unstuck real quick.
Hamad, also try to answer this question. What's keeping in the circle? Do let me know at some point when you say how do you get out of the circle, what's keeping you in the circle? Other than that's the biggest problem in this world. I hope you know that. The egoic mind. I'm going to plug in a book. You have to read The New Earth or The Untethered Soul. The two books, The New Earth or The Untethered Soul. That'll blow you away if you read it with an open mind. It'll answer 99% of your questions here. Crux of this talk is success. At one point, you need to jump a calculator. Absolutely, sir. You need to jump a calculator jump.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I believe in calculated risks. I believe in calculated risks. I can assure you. I mean, I live by the Grand Canyon. I won't go up to the edge. I won't go up to the edge and dangle 1 foot off. That's that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But in business, I'll take a calculated risk, and there's been times I've lost money. There's been times I've made a lot.
Okay, I remember what I was going to say. Dennis was talking about his splits. Yeah, you have to. I'm not trying to tell you. We're not trying to tell you that it's okay to fail. No. If you're addicted to failure and you keep doing stupid things, no, that's not smart. No. You take on challenges which there's some chance, and hopefully more than 50% chance of winning. If you keep betting money on lost cases, then you're stupid. I'm sorry. That's not smart. Not at all. You have to take on challenges which there is a hope of succeeding, and that hope is more than 50%. Otherwise, you're just making bad choices, and you need to, get off the wheel. Let somebody else do it. Yeah. Failures correct your ways. Absolutely, sir. Okay, this long one. Sometimes you keep doing things, and every single thing is right, but the chain of things so happen that you don't get through. It can be very, very demoralizing, but you're in a bad patch and don't know when you will get out of it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's natural if things are really shit. You can go through a bad time, but hang on, man. Just hang on. From your picture, I think you're young. Shit hasn't even started. Things will go south in life. Shit will happen, man.
When you don't know that you're going to get out of it, I think it's really like, okay, wait a minute. Am I supposed to be in it in the first place? I just want to say, I think that, as humans, we, the example I use is, as humans, we get whatever we want. Whatever we focus our minds on, whatever we want, we end up getting. And think about it. I've used this example before, is a car that I had. Man, I wanted this car. I dreamed about it, and then I finally got it. And what I realized is it was too small. I had a tendency to drive like an idiot in this car and ended up with 2 criminal speeding tickets in a very short amount of time. The police. Anybody ever comes to the U.S., if you're driving, the police, they really don't like you to pass them. So. And the interesting thing is, my son is actually in court. My oldest son is actually in court this morning, dealing with the exact same issue. So apparently, driving fast is. I'm not going to say my example passed that on. I'm sure it's genetic.
All right, Hamad, yes. You're talking about calligraphy, not typography. No, actually, Steve Jobs did say he did have a calligraphy experience, which helped him with the typography for Apple. And this is the actual quote. He audited. He audited calligraphy class in college. I love Google, man.
Yeah, and as far as connecting the dots, I think to me that brings up the whole concept of a lot of times we think failure is a, like you've been saying, is a single event, and the reality is it's always a sequence of events. So we it's a thought process, it's an attitude, it's behaviors. There's so much more involved in just like, oh, this is a failure. You know, and I think we tend to put things in terms of like sports, like, oh, you go out to play a football game, and either you win or you lose, and that's just not life.
Okay, we've gone an hour, 10 minutes, and we're going to go through comments quickly.
Yep.
Hamad Muni said, I learned Chinese language and kept learning. It helped me. You know what? Well done. I tried learning
Excellent.
Chinese. I gave up after like 4 classes. I gave up. That is just too tough, man. Not for me. Not for me. It's an illogical language. German is the most logical. I love German. It's the most logical language, you know. Bushra, thank you very much for joining us, and really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you, Bushra.
I'm going to fly through comments. We need to change our behavior and act like sponges, which actually, let me get. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just passing through quickly. You're right. I agree. We have to suck in knowledge, experiences, and we just have to keep learning going forward. If you're really stuck, has no way out. When rape is, just relax now because you've obviously never been raped. Yeah,
that's a crime. I mean, that's a crime. I don't think being raped is you're truly a victim. So I don't know. To me, in my training and education, those types of events, that's just a crime. Like we didn't even try to, like in psychology school, we didn't even try to figure out why people do that. It's a crime. That's the way that we look at it here.
I love plugging in shit. So I'm gonna plug in this song here. It's called Barbados by Tori Amos, and she talks about her real life experience of being raped. And she said when she was being raped, all she could think about was, and I haven't seen Barbados. So I suggest you listen to this song, Tori Amos, Barbados. Beautiful song, beautiful girl. All right. To be honest, I like to hold a grudge again. Beautiful, you said it. I like to hold. There you go. If it gives you, you have to. Okay, Rafia and Bushra, both of you, and even in front, everybody else, look at the way you word your sentence. It'll answer your question.
Yeah.
You've answered. You've answered it. The noise in the head and perhaps the pain caused by failure can actually create a cycle of anxiety and fear of moving forward. Yes, the noise in the head is a real thing. Mm-hmm. And people who pretend to be not clinically depressed, people who pretend to be depressed, or people who want to be stuck in cycles, people who don't want to face reality, it's all. They're living a parallel life in their head.
Yeah.
Dennis, maybe we should do a show about the noise in the head, man.
Well, you know what, and that will be actually good because I'm teaching this evening. I'm actually teaching a class on the default mode network. So it's defeating the demon.
Where are you teaching, if I may ask?
Oh, it's a private event. It's a private event, so it's for a corporation, and we're doing a whole series on stress management. And
excellent.
It was the DMN, the default mode network. That's that internal conversation. It's this whole network of it really represents our internal dialogue. So again,
I'm going to plug this in.
Yep.
I'm going to plug this in again. Dennis is an NLP master coach. He does he's a psychologist. He helps executives. He helps companies, team building, and all kinds of nasty stuff. So if anybody is here from the corporate or wherever, Tyrell Coaching is right there over there. It says go to his website, and you guys can pay him to do that stuff for you.
Please.
So yeah, we should do about the noise in the head. Bushra, that's a real problem. A lot of people are stuck with the noise in the head, and we can take you there. Both of us can take you in that direction. All right, quickly. Just like self-confidence that we get through the. Okay, I'm just gonna be there.
Imran, I like self-quarantining too. The truth is I've been self-quarantining but long before COVID, so. But it wasn't really quarantining. It was more of just about like, sometimes, sometimes it gets a little bit too people-y in the world for me, so.
Yeah, well, we've been actually locked in since 26th of February. But like Dennis, before even that, we pretty much were quarantined. Bina and I, it gets two people. We're not into people. We're not into going to see people. We're not into inviting people into home as well. We just kind of do our own shit and we're okay with that. So yeah, our life is pretty much self-quarantine.
Yeah.
Self-isolation, and now it's self-quarantine, yeah.
I have a very public life, and then I have a very private life as well, so.
Touche. Patrick is necessarily sweet or fascinating, thus you can't generalize by saying enjoy the ride. It can go either way. It can go either way, but it's still a good ride.
Yeah,
as long as you're gaining something. As long as you're gaining something from a failure, you're okay. And you're always gaining something from a failure unless the noise in your head screws you up.
I guess my question to this is though, but if you're not engaged in something that is sweet or fascinating, I guess my question, why are you doing it?
Link up to say it, I can't in real time because now it's really late and I want to end this. But I will say it again. The Untethered Soul and The New Earth. These are the two books, and I think there's an article about them on my blog. If not, I'll put it there. You can go to faisalqureshi.com and take a look at it, but I don't think it's there right now. All right. It's a famous thing in Pakistan. Your mother doesn't latch baby until she cries, when the statement is a very dear pleasant. I take that the more you strive and struggle, the more you enjoy the value, the result. What should take from this? Dennis?
I don't know that I fully understand.
Now, I'm completely lazy. The less I believe in least input with the most output. I have no interest in struggling or striving. I just want success for free. Sorry, I took that off. You were reading. I just want success for free. No, I don't want to struggle. No.
I get, FQ, I'm just going to say, we talk, words are a big deal to me. And so when I hear something like struggle, it makes me think of the statement that I hear a lot of people make, which is that marriage takes a lot of hard work. And I say bullshit to that. Because here's the deal. I don't like work. I mean, that's just the truth. I don't particularly enjoy work.
Thank you.
I don't mind putting effort towards something. So, but my marriage, it takes effort for sure. But work, I don't know. I don't particularly like work. So why would I invite that into my life? Let's just be honest and transparent about who we are.
Least input, most output. That's what I want in life, man. Okay, off topic. There's something new hanging on the wall behind. Yes, I don't like permanent things, so I don't like permanent frames. If I like something for a time, I have a color printer. I print it and I stick it on my wall for. Even our private pictures are really just printouts on the wall. And after a while, I get bored and I just rip them out and throw them away. I don't believe in expensive art and shit. It's just quick. I like it for a few. So it's just a picture which says naturally. That's all it is.
Nice.
Is there something that needs answered here?
I'll just say that I believe that the thing about meditation and the thing with yoga is a form of moving meditation, and all we're really trying to do in that, there is health benefits, physical health benefits, but what we're trying to really do is calm the mind. When you can take and calm the mind, you open your heart, you open your soul, you're open to opportunities, because you're shutting off everything that's telling you how terrible we are. I mean, let's just be honest. We speak to ourselves in a way that we would never let another human being speak to us. I mean, seriously, if anybody spoke to me the way that I talk to myself sometimes, yeah, they'd need a dental appointment right away because they'd be missing some teeth.
That's what's on the wall.
Perfect. It goes right in. We should have used that the other day for our conversation with Dr. Kramer.
Well, we used something even better. Anyways, let's moving right on. Where were we? Failure is not about a huge calculation, mistake, and knowing about your misconception and miscalculation. All right. Typography is the beloved thing that helped me in designing. There you go, sir. I remember Ahsan Khan is a graphic designer.
Yes, thank you, Ahsan.
My wife punishes our kids by quarantining them through sending them to the naughty corner, and they hate it. What the hell is a naughty corner?
Well, I think that the pandemic has sent all of us to the naughty corner, and I think we're seeing how adults react to being controlled in quarantine. So, yeah, I could imagine they don't like that either. But I don't know. I think that's all relative.
Thank God there's no naughty corner in my house, otherwise I'd never come out of it.
Well, I'm in mine. It's just called my office, so.
So you're permanently in the doghouse, right? Okay, I wish I didn't think this was way, but my childhood was so traumatizing that I don't know how to get out of these thoughts. You have to read the way you write it. I wish I didn't think this way. The answer's right there, Rafia. That's the answer. I didn't think this way. I wish I didn't think this way. You obviously don't. You wish you thought that way. It's a thought. Throw it away. And if that's not easy, you got an NLP hypnosis. Mr. Dennis Tyra.
Rafi, let's schedule a time for you and me to talk. Outside of this show, let's have a talk after this, and then we'll see if you're how your comments are a little different after that, because there's the way that we speak dictates I have a whole presentation on the power of words, and the way that we speak dictates the outcomes that we get. So when we say things like I wish, I want, those are known as modal operators and of opportunity. So let's take those and make them action. Instead of opportunity,
Dennis,
let's make action. Yeah.
May I suggest something? I'm assuming you want to charge her at least for a bit initial thing.
No.
How about doing this online and let people take benefit from it? That's something you mentioned the other day?
I would be happy to have a coaching session, an online coaching session, and so people could really see what NLP does and how coaching actually works. Because I think a lot of people think it's somebody telling you how to live your life. And actually what the truth is a good coach asks more questions than they actually have answers for. So it's really about asking questions in a different way, and it's about challenging our thought process so that like, wait a minute, why do I think this? Again, low-hanging fruit of what I've said before is why I don't believe in the version of heaven and hell that I was taught as a child. But when I get mad at somebody, go to hell, right? And I'm not telling them to go to the nicer version that I've come to adopt into my life. I'm telling them to go to the bad place with the red devil and pitchforks, right? So I think that we just have to really slow ourselves down. I usually encourage people to take 21 to 30 days of really taking and doing some deep work on themselves. And I don't mean psychological work. It's using the tools like the but reframe. I want to do this, but I'm going to do this.
Or I wish I didn't do this, while you're doing it. Okay, Dennis, how does somebody contact you? Is there a phone number, an email address?
The easiest way to get a hold of me is to go to the website right there, TyrellCoaching.com. Right. There's a contact form.
And there's a contact form?
And it comes right to my email. Yep, and I will get back to you in less than 2 hours.
And there's a link to your Facebook as well, right?
That is correct.
Good. Yep. So, Rafia, I would suggest you have a chat with him. And then if you agree and if you're okay, then we could do a live coaching session for you, however long, 10, 15, 20 minutes, and let people participate and see, and we can organize that. All right.
Absolutely.
Just one more thought. People into medical research know that they are going to fail 98%. Yet, thank you very much. If failure scared you, we would have no cure for nothing in this world, man.
Absolutely.
Good on you guys. Stay pumped and stay contributing positivity. See you in the next session. Thank you very much, Mr. Shamrog. God bless you. But here you can't touch the child, so you send him in a corner. Okay, he's talking about Australia. Naughty corner is Aussie slang in Pakistan. It's slapping or smacking. Yeah. But here you can't touch the child, so you send him in a corner with boundaries and absolutely nothing, and shit yourself until you calm down and apologize. Or Child Protection Services kicks in. All right. We have gone through all the comments. Good on us. And we've gone 1 hour, 24 minutes. Dennis, you have a good day, mate.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.
Take care.